Hey everybody, what's up? My name is Elimarna. This is Chaotically Elimarna, and as you are probably largely aware by now, I'm one of the mods for HRCYED. So obviously I am participating in HRCYED, and as much as I am all about people who have been utilizing the spreadsheet and planning and making big plans for their HRCYED 3.0, I'm not one of them. I'm doing this full chaos method. Big surprise. Wait. So what I've done, I've created my Stars and Starbursts candy machine with my little 3.0 sticker on it, full of Starbursts and little folded stars. I already have a bunch, but little folded stars with the prompts written on them. And what I'm going to do is each time I need a book or need some books, I'm going to twist my little knobby and I'm going to get a little drawer of stars and starbursts. I already did this because I needed to. And now I get to see what I've got. But because there's me, I'm here. You know, it's that whole Billy Mays, but wait, there's more moment. I am gamifying mine in additional ways. I have different options to gamify, and I'm going to have to film separately. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin a wheel on my phone. I'll record that and show it right about now. And that spinner wheel is going to tell me which dice to roll of the D6, D8, and D20. If I roll a 14 on the D20, so if I say I get the D20 and I roll a 14 on it, that will trigger the D4, which has the options for TBR games. And so the TBR games that I could play are Book Trap, which I made using Mousetrap, Bananagrams, and a Yahtzee game I created. And then the fourth one is a Suffer-a-thon choice, because I also run the Suffer-a-thon server and readathon. So that is what we're going to do for that. So yeah, I guess we're on to dice rolls now. I got 11 prompts in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unveil the prompts, and I'm going to just kind of play a little matchy-matchy on dice rolls, because I don't want to commit myself to saying, oh yeah, this star is going to definitely be a BIPOC fantasy, and then unveil it and it turns out that it's like a choose your curriculum nonfiction edition. It's like, that's not gonna work. Can't do that. And then if there's like some role that I can't use for one of the prompts, then I'm just not gonna worry about it too much, because like, not the end of the world, it's just a game. So I guess let's reveal these first. I can figure out how to undo them. Unfold! Alright, we're gonna unfold these off screen because this is terrible. Oh, okay. I have them all unraveled right here. All 11. Which means I can now share what I got. Now, there are bonus prompts in here because I am doing a version of HRCYED in which I have bonus prompts. 56 of them, I think. Because why wouldn't I? So I have 157 main prompts because, again, why wouldn't I add things to complicate things for myself? It's just what I do. But I also have 56 additional bonuses that I can work on, and I did draw one this month, so we'll see if I do it, we'll see if I don't. But I got cover styles. You're not gonna be able to read these. Like, I highly doubt that'll work, whatever. I got one of my bonuses, which is to do shiritori with words instead of just the letters. So if I succeed, I succeed, but that's going to take some thought. I got biomes and landscapes. I got remix And paper is very bendy. Shiritori, regular. And Mother Nature, which many of you probably know is one of the prompts I'm most excited about. I got titular counting. I'm probably going to go with the 6. So I wrote like what number out of 10 to just like keep track for myself of like what I've gotten. But I'm probably on like the titular counting and stuff going to actually use. So like this one I'll go for the 6 option. And then I've got a rainbow of words, and I actually wrote the color that I need. So this one is going to have to be green. And I don't know if I'm going to look for the word in the title or if I'm going to look for the title written in that color. Haven't actually decided yet, but I think I might do the word because I do have one option for pink and options multiple for others. And then one of my HRCYED mashup books, which I am doing for my HRCYED mashup, the series Staircase from 2.0 with the indie books that were purchased directly from the indie author or through their vendor of preference. And so this is the 4-book series, which I bought directly from Q. So I'm going to be reading, finally, the first Ashport Archives book. That one I already know. I will not need to do a dice roll for that. And then this one, I might need a suggestions. Because it's Bookception, book 1 of 2. So I gotta find a book that mentions other books. Wish me luck. And then, finally, I am very excited because I got Backlist Author. Again, I don't need to do a dice roll for that because I am most likely doing the 5 Sylvia Moreno Garcia books that I own but have not yet read, because I have exactly 5 unread that I can use for her, which is brilliant because the 2 I've read I really enjoyed. So that's that. At this point I will probably have already shown my spinner wheel showing what dice I'm going to be rolling, so I'm going to actually do my spinner wheel now, and then I am going to roll the dice. All right, so we got a D6 and a D20. We're going to roll. Roll 1. Got a 1 and a 1. That is an LGBTQIA+ author and an audiobook. I'll probably immersion read that. For biomes and landscapes, I have decided to go with, instead of an LGBTQIA+ author, because there's one with the rep that I really want to read, and I want to read it ASAP because I'm using it for Pride Bingo that the Reading Run is doing, because they're just an incredible human being and I need to read it immediately because it's my lesbian rec book, and the hard mode is to read the lesbian book first because they come first in LGBTQIA+. There's a whole history behind it that I once learned, have since forgotten. Not important right now. This is HRCYED. So my choice for this, kind of ignoring the dice rolls a little bit, but whatever. I am going with The Keeper of Small Things by Julie Young. Super excited to read it. I've heard wonderful things about it. I have not read her first book yet. I have it, just haven't gotten to it. Got a 5 and a 10. So that is a new to me author and a book of the month book. Okay, and then we got the remix book. I decided to go with a new to me author and a book of the month book for this, because I had some pretty easy pickings for that, and so I chose Lady Tremaine by Rachel Hockhauser. It is a book of the month book. I need to make a massive dent in that pile, which is more of a mountain, which is unsurprising given it's me. And so this is a retelling, but make it the villain's POV. So in this case, her evil stepmother's point of view. And I'm very interested. I've heard a couple people be like, this is really boring, nothing's happening, and then others have loved it. So I'm curious, I want to see it, I'm excited. Roll 3. We got a 6 and a 14, which is an indie or self-published author. And a 14, which is the TBR game. So I will roll for that in a bit. And then next up is Bookception. And if you have seen Q's podcast, Life, the Quniverse, and everything, we did a HRCYED episode. I was on it with the glorious, wonderful Michelle. Oh, love her. And we played a game in which we had to do speedy recommendations for HRCYED, and ended up tying Q versus me. I tied Q, managed to think fast enough to do that. And so we got to give each other a book that we have to read for HRCYED 3.0, and we were allowed to pick anything and no holds barred. And so she chose for me what I am using for Bookception. She talked about it, she said it works for Bookception. And so I went with an indie self-pub author, but I'm just gonna ignore the TBR game that I rolled. I really don't feel like overcomplicating my first selections because I've been in a bit of a reading slump all year. And I just don't know that I would get results that I would actually be, like, care about right now. So I'm ignoring the TBR game. I know Sufferthon people are probably gonna be like, oh, I don't care. This is me and my reading. And so I have chosen the book that Q assigned me in that, which is The Hands Were Given by O.E. Atieman, which is the first book in the Aces High Jokers Wild series. And she said that it is the gayest military fantasy book you'll ever read, and therefore I am fully signed on. That's all I really needed to know. And then one of the characters is apparently really nerdy and talks a lot about, like, different books, so here's to hoping she is remembering correctly, because she said it has been a couple years since she read it. So, I mean, I trust her. I really do. And I am certain that what she said is going to hold true. I'm excited to read it. I think I'm probably going to really enjoy this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And right now, that's what I need. Roll 4 is a 4 and a 20. 4 is a plus size or uncommon main character. And a 20 is a book published before 2020. So the next book on my list, we're gonna go to Chaotically, and I ignored the rolls on those again, just because I started a series this year that actually has me wanting to pick up more books, and that's really important. And so since I have the audio for this and can immersion read it, it's not like I'm just ignoring every roll ever. I'm not likely to be able to immersion read some of the other books that I have that were, like, paired with, like, they had an audio pairing on their dice. But I am looking at immersion reading because that's really the way to do it. Carl's Doomsday Scenario by Matt Dinneman. That's how you read these, ideally. Like, especially if you really can't do just audio very well, like me. Like, I subscribed to Audible temporarily, specifically so I could get these. So, that's what I'm going to be reading for that, and I'm anticipating a crazy, bloody, gory good time with a whole heck of a lot of chaos. That's really all I need sometimes. 5. There's a 4 and 11. So we got another plus size or uncommon. And 11 is a classic, which is probably not going to work well. I'm just saying, classics don't tend to have much uncommon rep in them. Okay, so the next book is A Rainbow of Words with the color green in the title, so it needs to have the actual word green in the title. That's what I've chosen to do. I almost switched, but decided not to. And I used the dice rolls, a plus-sized or uncommon main character with a classic, and it's kind of viewed as a modern classic, from what I'm aware, like a modern classic of Southern literature, is what I was kind of rolling with on this. And so I've decided to go with Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe, which is also a book that I need for my Pride Bingo TBR, because one of the squares that they created on this is to read a book, a queer book from the decade you were born. And I was born in the 80s. This was written in 87, or published in 87. And apparently it's queer, sapphic, something along those lines. So hopefully this works. I don't actually know much about it, but I know that it's like a really well-loved book, so I'm kind of excited to read it, because older books don't always hit right nowadays. So I'm excited to see how this goes. 6, we got a 1 and a 2, well, a 2 and a 1. So we got a BIPOC author, another audiobook. So again, probably going to immersion read. For my bonus prompt, I made an extremely unwise decision, but I also just spent like 30 minutes plus standing upstairs going through my upstairs bookcases trying to find something that I could use for Shiratori with words, because that is a very difficult way to go about this, and that's why I made it a bonus and not my actual Her Kid prompt. And I finally came up with a path. 5 books that I actively actually own in some form or fashion. One of them is on Kindle, and the rest are physical books that I have in my possession, and this is going to get me to pick up a book that I've been excited about since the author released it. So I'm using the BIPOC author role for this, and I'm going to read The Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese. If you know me at all, you know that Cutting for Stone, his debut, is a book that I read, loved passionately, was an emotional wreck after, and now recommend to basically everybody, because it was that good, that heavy, that hard-hitting, and that fantastically well written. He just nailed characters and atmosphere and everything on the head. And so I saw that he had released The Covenant of Water and added it straight to my wish list, and then kind of had to bide my time. And then this past Christmas I was able to get it because I got a bunch of Christmas money, and it's just been sitting in my piles like unread since then, and like I'm constantly like thinking about it and thinking about how I own it and I haven't read it yet. So here we go. I'm gonna do it, and it's probably gonna wreck me, and that's fine. That's how you know a book is good, at least for me. I know that's not everybody's qualifier, because some people just prefer to read their fairy smut, and that's perfectly fine. I have nothing against that. I read a lot of it. Ooh, we got a 9. Okay, so we got a 5 and a 9. 5 is that new to me author. And a 9 is my scratch off cards, which will be interesting because I don't have a lot of control over those. The next book that I have chosen I have counted this a million times. It is definitely 6 words. So for titular counting, a book with 6 words in the title. The dice rolls that I decided to assign to this were new to me author and scratch off cards. So I did draw a scratch off card. I'll insert the clip here. So one of the things that we got, well, I got, you're not here with me, it's a scratch off card. This is my Witch Cauldron of scratch off cards. Sure. There are 2 sides to every card, so I'm going to scratch off one, and then if I can't use that, I'll scratch off the other. And if you have never tried to scratch off a scratch off card one-handed, I do not recommend. I can't do this. So I got A Pale Light in the Black, which is the Neo G series by KB Wagers. And the book that I got was from the Neo G series, which is A Pale Light in the Black by KB Wagers. I am excited to finally get to this, and I'm happy that I've got some science fiction on here because I've been reading science fiction this year more than I normally do. Most years I might get 1 or 2, and this year I think I've gotten like 4 or 5. So I think I'm just kind of in a sci-fi mood, which if you know anything about me, that makes some amount of sense. Alright, roll 8 of the 9 I'm doing. Since I have 2 I don't need to roll. I've got a 4 and a 4. So we got the plus size uncommon MC again. And 4 is average rating close to 3.5 stars. And so for the Mother Nature prompt, which I am using my dice rolls for a plus-sized or uncommon main character and then an average rating close to about 3.5. With an average rating of 3.61 and a plus-size main character, I have chosen Whirlwind by Kayla Gross. See that beautiful tornado? Yeah. I am very excited. And the final roll is a 2 and an 11. So, BIPOC author and a classic, which again, not loads of options, but more than like a plus size main character or something. The next book on my list is cover styles. For this, I went with a BIPOC author. Decided not to go with a classic on this because I really just don't feel like finding a lot of classics right now. I'm not in the mood. And if I try and force myself to read stuff that I don't really want to read, I'm not going to read. So for that, I did do a BIPOC author though. And I chose one that I actually heard about originally on BookTube, which is The Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu. So he is, I verified, Asian American. And it is like a martial arts fantasy that I'm so intrigued by. I didn't want to start this series until I had all 3. I have all 3 now. I got the 3rd one for Christmas, I think. And I've just kind of been putting it off because now I'm like, well, what if I hate it? And I haven't been in a super fantasy mood, but maybe if I do something a little different in fantasy, that's my hope. If I do a little different, maybe I'll be more into it. Next up, we have, for the HRCYED mashup, I did not need a dice roll because that one is already pre-planned. I am doing, my 4-book series is going to be the Ashport Archives. So Search for the Phoenix by Stephanie Gillis, aka Q, aka the wonderful creator of this amazing challenge. Please go buy her books on her Ko-fi and give her all of the support in the world. I started reading this once and was having a fantastic time. And then I did what I always do and abandoned it. Next up, backlist author. Also did not need a dice roll for that. I did have to force myself to pick something. And so for my first Sylvia Moreno Garcia book of Her Kid 3.0, I have chosen The Bewitching, which I've been hearing amazing things about, and I really want to read it. So on to the TBR that goes. It just sounds incredible. The cover is beautiful, and I love her writing. It's so atmospheric and haunting when, like, her writing is just, oh, yes, please. Hi, everybody. So it's only been a couple days since I originally made this TBR, and I've already had to change things because surprise, chaos. I actually made my Pride Bingo TBR and worked out exactly where I want to put books, and so I'm actually going to be using Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe as my lesbian book, so this will be the first book that I read, most likely, which I'm not mad about, because it, again, is supposed to be like a queer classic, Southern light classic, like it just like a modern classic from the 80s. And my 80s pick is going to be The Color Purple, assuming I can get one that is the majority purple, because when I said I wanted to be stopped from doing all of Pride Bingo in hard mode, Ren, the creator, decided to come in and tell me, no, you're doing all of hard mode. And I went, oh, of course I'm doing all of hard mode. Not a problem. So instead of starting with The Keeper of Magical Things, this will be used. What am I using this for? My nose itches. I'll be using this for 5 or more words in the title because it has pride flag colors on the cover, which is the hard mode prompt for that. I chose the pansexual flag for reasons. And then finally, because I am amazing at this and totally never would forget anything at all about, you know, side quests and prompts that I knew about, prompts that I knew were coming. Q did announce the first side quest on July 1st, and I realized, oh crap, I forgot to plan for that. And originally I was like, oh, maybe I can use the Covenant of Water for a teal book. No, not teal enough. So I had to add a book to my TBR. And I chose Hopeless Necromantic because it's very teal. So I'll be reading that, and I will use it as a ghost Pokemon, most likely. And those are the changes that I have had to make to my TBR within just a few days of filming the original video. So, good job, me. So yeah, those are my books for Her Kid 3.0 to start off with. I am going to make these videos as often as I need to. I don't necessarily know that it'll be monthly or anything like that. I don't really have a schedule in mind for this endeavor or any booktube endeavors at all. I just know that I would like to try and get something started here. So yeah. Maisie, do you want to wake up and say hi? Bye? Anything? I have a cat, but she is very much asleep.